but I'm going to start recording.
All right, guys.
So this session doesn't really follow so much the document that was created. I actually want to talk about two things that I've noticed about winning in general, or the mindset of winning. And this is something, it's a cliche somewhat because Nike actually made a commercial out of it. They said winning isn't easy. It's not an easy thing. It's not a comfortable thing. To be able to win, you have to actually sacrifice and actually do things and learn how to win. And what do I mean by that? When you go and you play a team that you're significantly better than, and you go and you spank them 10-0. I know our Tony's team beat a team 19-0. To me, that's not winning. That's just superiority. I mean, it's like you going and playing with kids, right? Rec kids that don't understand the game. What winning is the ability to compete and raise your level and understand the certainty or the expectations around what it is to be in the mindset to win a game. So, what is that? And I think this last weekend, especially for our team, was a big lesson. We came out and played a team that came ready. They were hungry because they had just lost the game. We were tied with them for second. And because they lost that game, they fell into a solid third, right? Whereas we came off a win and we came into the game thinking, oh, we're already there. So what happened was the first 12 minutes of the game, they scored 3 goals on us. And two of the goals, to be frank, were mistakes on our side, lack of concentration, not being prepared, not being focused. So, what does this all mean? I think when it comes to winning, it doesn't just start when you get to the field. It doesn't just start when you're the whistle blows and you start playing the game. What I've noticed with both teams is this: the tendency is the whistle blows and it takes you about 5 to 10 minutes to get into the game. And this is exactly what happened to our team. Within that 5, 10 minutes, the other team had already scored 3 goals on us. And this happened at Copa Americana too. Part where the first 15 minutes they put six past us, remember? Uh, and then at that point, once we woke up and matched the intensity of the other team, they didn't do anything. And so, what I want to talk about to start off is just game preparation. There's a pre-game ritual, and this is what you see when you watch the professionals come off the bus, right? Everyone does their own thing. Most of them have headphones on. Why? Because they don't want to hear any of the noise. They're trying to get into their zone. They're trying to get their minds focused on certain things. They're not joking around typically. Everyone is really quiet, usually listening to the coach before on the bus ride to the game. And so there's a pregame. Then during the warm up, there is the second phase of getting ready for the game. And notice it's already the second phase. Warm up is not the first phase of getting ready for a game. Getting ready for the game could happen days before, could happen the night before, the rituals that you have and all that is associated to that. Human psychology and human nature, it's very rare for an individual to be able to be in a joking manner and then swing 180 degrees and be on the serious side right away. So we need to start learning what this is, especially when you start going into bigger, tougher tournaments and playing teams that are equal to your level or at a higher level. Because right now, to be honest, we're at a lower level and we're physical and we're big and we're fast and therefore we beat teams. But when you get up to the higher levels, they're all going to be on that same level. And now it's how you prep for the game. So let's talk about that. Pre-game ritual. This is where you kind of set the goals for what you need to do in the game. right? I'm going to try to do this. As a team, we're going to try to achieve this. And these are the markers that should be measurable, meaning you can actually count on your fingers how many goals you do or how many assists you have or whatever, right? And then what the team vision is. And typically the coaches should already talk to you about that. What is it? Are we playing out of the back? Are we looking to counter? Are we sitting back? All these things are things that you start thinking about way before the game even starts. Um, Once you get into the warm-ups, when you're there, the idea of the warm-up is to rev your engine up so that it is at game speed and you're playing and your rondos or your passing or your shots or whatever you're doing is at a game level, prepped and ready to go. You should be sweating by the time the game starts. If you're not, you didn't warm up. And this is very important once we get into the bigger tournaments and you get to the higher levels, right? Um, and then identifying during that time what the purpose of your role is. You have to understand what the purpose and your role is. You don't go into a game just thinking, oh, when the ball gets to me, I'm going to find an open man. It's not that. It's not at that level. It's literally, hey, I'm on the wing. My job is to beat my guy down the wing, turn the defenders to their side, find the opening either to take it directly towards goal myself or either across or drop back for a shot from the danger area. And we all talk about, we know where the danger area is, right? Understanding that at the warm-ups, I still see our team messing around, joking around, half passing. It's not okay. Not if you want to be at that next level. If you want to be at that next level, you got to be 100% focused. So by the time the whistle is about to blow, you are already at 100% ready to go from a preparation standpoint, right? So then in the game, what are you about? So when the whistle blows, in your mind, you have to know what your tasks are, what are your objectives, both offensively and defensively, right? My job is to go up. Like, let's say I take, in this case, number 7 winger on blue. My job is to beat my defender, combine, create chaos on the wing, and find an open opportunity for myself or my teammates. That's your job description. On defense, I need to get back and provide pressure if we're pressing up top or drop back into my zone and take care of my winger, right? Um, the other thing is once you're in the game, the focus has to be 100%. And I'll take the goalkeeper as an example, right? You could be in the entire game and not touch the ball. And the one time the ball comes, it's either the win or the loss. So in your case, focus is of paramount value. Just because our defender, you think he's getting to the ball, doesn't mean you close your eyes, doesn't mean your brain turns off. Case in point, our keeper had the ball fall through his legs, and actually both teams had the same situation happen last weekend, right? Where it was a simple thing. All you had to do was just catch the ball. But because your brain wasn't focused into the game, the ball came, and instead of stopping it, it went through your legs and into the goal. The difference of one goal made the difference of whether we as a team can be in first place or out of the tournament or out of the league. And I'm using the keeper as an instance because they are the ones that have to concentrate the most, especially in a dominant position. When we're dominating, you're not touching the ball much, right? You have to ask yourself this question. How do I become the best me for the team? What do I have to be the best me of for the team? If you don't know that answer, then ask because the coach will have an idea, right? Um, and because the coach has that idea, you have to be able to verbalize it back to them. So I want to touch on that because we're coming into the end of the season. We're going to start going into State Cup. We have a couple tournaments up along the way. And if for us to do well, all this has to happen. Remember,
Read it according to
we're
me.
at a lower tier. And because we're at a lower tier, we have to be able to play our way up. And the higher you get, the more intense it's going to get, the more focused it needs to be. Okay. So I'll stop there for that. Any questions on that topic? Prep for the game begins not right before the game. You're not joking around during the car. You're being focused. You're visualizing what you're going to do, and you're seeing it happen in your mind's eye before you actually get there. And I want to make that a practice that you hone in on and you can create sort of a ritual around. Okay. All right. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is our defensive principles as I see them. We've talked about some of these things, right? We've talked about, let me kind of go down to the defensive side a little bit on this, and then I'll touch on it. We've talked about the defensive mindset in our zones, what they should be. I'm not going to go over it. You can take a look at the document. But our principle is very simple. 2/3. And with the VO, I'm actually seeing it in real time that you guys are doing this very well, at least on my team, right? You're not, everybody's moving, everybody's shifting, you're overloading the zone. I think it's been great. But now let me go on to the tactical board side. How we play, let's say we're the blue team. Most of the time, when we play any one of these teams in our tier two, tier three, some tier ones, the attack is very simple. It's direct. It's direct, right? It's very rarely that you'll see them working around the back or not. So let me talk about what we need to do as a team for this. When they have the ball in the back, and they press up, let's say the forwards, let's say they play two forwards. What we've been doing in the past is this man marking. The problem with man marking, especially at this age, is that most of the time these passes aren't that accurate. These guys in the back that are clearing the ball are just booting it over the top. They're trying to get it behind this line and cause chaos here. What happens when the ball drops into this circled area? It forces us to do this, right? It forces us to face our own goal. When we face our own goal, that's when all our problems happen. So what I want us to do is no longer playing that. We don't need to play off sides. And the reason why we don't need to play off sides is our defense is actually extremely fast. We can chase everybody down. There hasn't been a single team that we've played against where our fastest defenders haven't been able to track back. So what I want us to do, knowing that that is the case now, and removing the risk of having it bounce over, whether it bounces in front and goes over our heads, or it goes right to 9 and 9 flicks it over, for us is for us to drop. Let them come. Because from here, most likely the ball in the air will land around here, right? Or here at most. It's never going to go over our head. And even if it goes over our head at this point, our keeper should easily be in a position to get that, right? Yes, Maxwell.
So you're saying drop back, but there's been a couple of games where someone would kick the ball, they would shoot it from a little bit farther up than half and score on us. So
Yeah.
um,
If they do that, I'll clap. Our team, I'm not worried about that. You know why? Because our team creates so many opportunities to score. Every single game that we look at, and you look at the VO video, every single game that we look at, we get at least double-digit scoring opportunities. So if they score one banger of a goal from half field, I'll clap. I'll say, good job, kid. Way to take that shot. Will it happen again? Probably not. Right? So
Um, oh,
go
go
on.
ahead. Oh, also, I feel like if they're like they're going up, and someone's like really good with their feet, they could just like go behind one of our get past our defender, then that's our last line.
No.
Would they be
So
dropping back? Would everybody be shifting up?
yeah. So here, that's a great question. I'm going to answer that right now. Why? The reason why I want us to drop back is because the balls, if he kicks it, there aren't too many kids that have the ability to kick more than half field, to be honest, on the ground. It's usually going to hit around where nine is. And what has happened in the past is because we're up like this, he'll hit the ball, they'll hit nine, and nine doesn't control it and it gets passed. And now everybody's just facing our own goal. Nine is coming at an advantage. We get scored on because of this. What I'm saying is, I'm going to give you that nine. Nine can stand right here. We don't need to be right up on him. We just need to be right beyond the line of where that ball typically, and you'll get a sense of that very quickly. If you stand here and he hits it over your head, next time scoot back a little more. And the size of the field will determine that. But I want us to be on our defensive side of where the ball is going to hit the ground. So if this line that I'm drawing right here, this line right here, right, is the one that's where the ball is going to hit. I want our defenders to be there, and I want our midfields to drop back a little bit, right? And the reason for that is you can attack. Let's say he does get the ball. How skilled are most of these boys? It'll take them at least a second or two to control the ball. There aren't too many kids where the ball comes and they control it and their heads up and they're ready to take you. No, let them have the opportunity. Once they get it in while the ball is in the air coming here, right? You will know exactly where that ball is going to land. And your anticipation is to meet the man and the ball where you know that he's not flicking it over to you or what, right? Will it happen? Yes, occasionally. But I want you, so here's what it is. I want you to attack the ball in this direction versus attacking the ball in this direction. Trust me, it will work, especially against the team that we're going to play against this weekend, right? Their whole thing was in the back, bypassing their midfield, and then having midfields flush forward beyond their forward as so they're literally their midfield's overlapping. And the reason why they were able to do it is because when they played against us, they won every single ball in the air, right? And my thing is back up, let them get it, and then attack them in the moment that it's where the ball is going to be. If you see it's going to go over their head, then time it to where that ball is going to be and meet that ball while you're heading in this direction, away from your own goal, right? Don't man mark to the point where the ball comes, you're man marking here, it lands here. Now you're in trouble. Now you're facing your own goal. You have no idea who's behind you. Your job is to pass it back to Andre, and Andre's is he the best with his foot? He's getting better, but I would rather you not put him in that position, right? So, mind you, the situation now is figure out where that ball lands and who kicks it, right? And then wherever that line typically lands, be behind that line. And as the ball is in the air, you make the decision, if you're three, let's say, do I close the gap immediately and meet him in the ball and win the ball? Or is it where it's over his head and he's going to turn? And now it's a 50-50 ball. And I'll put my chances on our defenders to meet that ball. Not too many people are going to outrun Noah. And Edgar, for the most part, never misses the ball. Out of 20 balls, he might miss one. So I will put it, and then also Edgar is extremely aggressive when he plays. He's not shy of contact, which is exactly why I think having and playing in this manner allows you to face forward, attack the ball, and meet this. And then in that sense, they will never go behind us. And if they do go behind us, our boys are fast enough and Mark can go and cover behind as well if need be, right? It's just, and I, and here's what it is. Do we press high sometimes? Yes. Don't let them have the opportunity to kick. But if they kick, instead of being so close to that guy, drop off a little bit and then meet the man and the ball, or the ball, meet the ball, because the man might be there, the man might not, but meet the ball when it hits the ground. That is the key for us against this team. If we do that, they will not beat us. They had one banger shot from a set play. Everything else was our mistake. It went through the keeper's legs. It was a missed trap that cost us a tie. When if we looked at the goals that we scored, all three goals were created because of pass or individual dribbles to beat the man and then score, right? So remember that for this weekend, and I'll talk about it when we play as well. So that's the typical defense. That sort of play, this ball over the top or this ball randomly cleared, is 90% of the teams that we play against do this. Beach does this. Every single team does this. There's, right? So be ready for that. The other way it typically happens at this age group is the ball goes like this. Here, here, across the field potentially. Let's say here. And then this guy runs up and he might get the ball back, right? So in situations like this, which happened to both our teams when we played TFA, right? The TFA downtown, that is the flight team, one team. I think they're ranked 27th in the state or something at our age group. They did this. They were able to pass in a situation where the team is actually distributing the ball and using the probe method to test to see where the openings are for us. This is what I want you to do. If seven gets the ball, right? And let's say Landon or whoever in the midfield is covering, number 5 is covering, and he passes the ball here. What typically happens is this. The number 5 player turns and starts running to the ball. That's how we all play right now. You need to be smarter than that. Against a smart team, that's exactly what they want you to do. They want you to move towards the ball because you'll never run faster than the ball, right? You're always chasing, you're always behind. The ideal situation here is reading it and seeing where 7 goes. If 7 passes the ball and it goes to 6, and 7 now runs down here, and you run here, they've beaten 2 lines with another pass to go back to here. So in this scenario, what I want you to do is stay with the runner, right? Especially in zones 5, 6, 7. And you know what 5, 6, 7 is, the middle of the field. Stay with your runner. Why? Because when the ball gets over here, there'll be somebody on our team that's already there to engage. What I want you to do is stay with your runner to prevent the back pass. So if 7 starts running, you looking at the ball would run with him to prevent this pass. Now, if this happens, guess what happens? If 2 is smart and blocks off the passing lane out here, or blocks off the passing lane in here to number 9, the ball is going to go back here, or go back here, or go back here, which is exactly what we want them to do. Go backwards, right? And stay in front of them. So let me repeat that. And this is the principle that I want you to play with. When you play with an average team, and you can tell what they're average by the way they play defense, the ball comes back and all they do is boot it up. And we're guilty of that too. I don't want us, eventually when your skills are high enough, we'll move away from that. But for right now, it works because it alleviates and lets us reset our formation. But if we play a team that goes direct, right, where it's these red lines that go down the field and over the top into these areas, if they come down straight down the middle, awesome. our goalkeeper should take it every single time, right? But if they go 1 and 2, oh, actually, this is 2, sorry, and not 3. 3 keeper should get, but 1 and 2, I want our boys to drop behind the line of where the ball is going to drop, where the ball is going to hit the ground. Why? Because you can then run attacking the ball and then clearing it out, or controlling the ball and finding that pass outside 45s or our midfield. 90% of the games we play is this. 90% of the teams we play, they do this. For the 10% of the team, like the TFAs or the MLS Next or the pre-ECNLs, where all of them are a little more skilled, you will see the blue pattern happening, right? And I will go back here so that you can see this. Remember, when coach yells out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it is the zone that the ball is supposed to be played to. So if you're in zone 4, let's say, right? And I say 6, that's what we're talking about, is the probing technique or the horseshoe to get it back to the 6th zone, because that's where we can exploit the next space. Or if you're in 4 and I go, hey, 7, you know it's right down the line and it's for a runner that's coming from our center, from our 5 or 8 into the 7 space. This will allow other teams to be like, what the heck are they talking about? It's not like me going, hey, go to Johnny. And after 3 times to Johnny, they know who Johnny is. So I go to Johnny. Someone's already running to Johnny. Okay. So so the first principle, if they play red style, which is 90% of the teams we play, be behind the ball, drop a little bit, attack the space. It's easier to run towards the other goal while defending. If they're B, if they're the blue, right? Then if they're making that pass, stay with the runner that is making that pass. If he passes and he doesn't run, guess what? Drop back like this. Because if it goes back, you can always come up. But if he makes the run, if 7 makes the run along that squiggly line to here, and you come here, now we're in deep trouble, because now it's breaking our formation and people have to move out of their position to make decisions on defending. We want the other team to be put in positions where they have to think, what do I do? Do I run with the ball? Do I go with the ball? Do I stay with the runner? Do I defend the guy that just got? You want them to ask these questions. If they're making us ask the questions, then they're dictating the rhythm to us, right? To prevent that, in these second scenarios, run with your man. Don't be so, and this is part of the probing movement in the 4, 5, 6 zone. You probe the other team to get someone like a number 5 on our team in this blue situation to run with the ball, because the minute they run with the ball, that means the space behind them is open. Okay. So those are our 2 typical. Our typical A, 90% of the time is going to go long. We got to be in a position where we're attacking the ball, heading, facing the opponent's goal, not facing our own goal. If we're facing our own goal, then as a defender or a defensive mid, you got to use your brain to figure out what's going on to be in a position where you're attacking, right? And then so I'm going to keep that here. I want to kind of share some of the progression. We had the Bayern Munich professional coach come out and coach our team.
Go,
So
go.
to your to your credit, what he told me was this: I've been everywhere around the country, and this is the first program that I think has the right idea. Everybody else has the wrong idea about what it is that needs to happen for the US to play well. And the following day, after the Bayern Munich coach left, I actually had a chance to go talk to one of the most influential coaches in the world. He helps Pep Guardiola, Mourinho. He knows every single person that you guys know and have watched on TV. He knows them personally or he's worked with them. And the one thing that I want to talk about is how, and we both talked about this, the Bayern coach as well as this other coach that I'm trying to bring into our system so he can teach all of us, right? They both talked about how to make it to the next level. What is it to make to the next level? And you heard the Bayern coach say it. Practice, practice, practice. Repetition, repetition, repetition. At your age group, technique and the foundations around the technique of being able to dribble the ball, trap the ball, pass the ball, feel comfortable on the ball to manipulate it in whatever manner you need without feeling the fear of someone coming at you is the key to being successful at this age. If you can't do that, you're not going to make it, period. Right? That has to happen. And this has to happen by the time you're 11 or 12. You got to have the skill set or you're not going to make it. So, A, these are the 4 points that he wrote up. And I'm going to type it out here so that it's easy for you guys to follow, right? 1, talent. 2, attitude. 2. That's how you. 3, desire. 4, coachability. What does that mean? And he used players that he's worked with. Ronaldinho. You guys all know Ronaldinho, right? When Ronaldinho came to Barcelona, he was this is what, and he knew him personally. Ronaldinho was a 3, a 2, and 3 is top. So he was a 3 in talent, a 2 in attitude, a 2 in desire, a 2 in coachability. After he won his Ballon d'Or twice, he became a 3 talent, 0 attitude, 0 desire, 0 coachability. His career fizzled. Then he brought up 2 examples that you both know, that everybody here knows. He said Messi and Ronaldo, right? Messi, 3 talent when he first came to La Masia, 3 attitude, 3 desire, 3 coachability. 15 years later at Miami, 3 talent, 3 attitude, 3 desire, 3 coachability. That's why he's the greatest. Ronaldo, same thing. When he first came into Man United, 3 talent, 3 attitude, 3 desire, 3 coachability. Now he's in Saudi Arabia. He's still a 3 talent. His attitude is still a 3. He still desires the game like nobody's business, a 3. And he's coachable, meaning he understands the system and follows what it needs to do. So those are the greatest in the world. There's another player that he used an example of. His name's Edgar Davids. He was a Dutch national team player, very famous. His ability, 1.5. Talent, 1.5. Attitude, 3. Desire, 3. Coachability, 3. He ended up having a very successful career at Juventus with a 1.5 attitude. So what is this telling you? As you all are at a young age, and if I ask you, I know all of you guys are going to say, I want to be a professional soccer player. Well, you know what? The reality is you're not all going to make it. But you have a way better chance. And these are the 3 things or the 4 things that they all look when they go scouting. When they go out to look for somebody, they go scout this. Do you have the talent right away? No, but you can build it. But you can control attitude, you can control desire, and you 100% can control coachability. So, of the 4 things that all these coaches look for, you control three of them. And that one talent you can actually build to the highest of your ability, which means me saying you aren't going to make it, is that true? No. You actually control whether you make it or you don't. The probabilities are 98%, maybe 99% of the players that you play with don't have these qualities. So look around when you practice on your team and ask yourself, do I want to be like everybody else or do I want to be elite? If you want to be like everybody else and horse around and joke around and not have that desire and make it hard for a coach to coach you, well, you're playing for fun until you get to a certain age where you won't have the opportunity anymore. This four qualities came from one of the top coaches in the world, right? He created and with Johan Cruyff built La Masia in Barcelona. And this is what he's telling me. So, because you're part of this club, I want to have the ability to share with you what I've learned. And if this is what he says is the most important qualities, and you control three of them, what do you think the best what do you think the best thing to do is? To bring the best you can out in these situations, right? You all have the possibility of making it. With these four things, you all have the possibility of making it if that is what you want. But like I said at the very beginning of this session, winning is not easy. Being elite is not easy. Just because you sit there and say you want it, I want it so bad. It's not about what you say, it's about what you do, and it's about how you act. So remember this: attitude, desire, coachability are all within your control at this very moment. Talent, either you're born with a certain gift or you're not, but you can build that, right? You might not be a three like Messi. You might be a two. You might even be a one. But if you're there and you have attitude, desire, and coachability, you have a chance. I'm going to stop recording and I want to